My dear friends, the Beatitudes, most of us are familiar with them. Some of us may have learned them while we were in school, if we attended some Catholic school, like myself. And therefore, there are blessings that we are very much familiar with. But as to the practice, this might be very far from many of us. Jesus gathered the crowd and the disciples when he went up a particular hill. And it says he sat down and he began to teach. And his teaching brings out 8 points mainly. That he speaks of the happiness of the poor, the happiness of the gentle, the happiness of those who mourn, comforted and mourn, and those who are hunger and thirst, those who are merciful, those who are pure in heart, the peacemakers, those who are persecuted. The first 4 of these deal with human condition. So the Beatitudes are meant to touch us where we are as human beings. And the others are really related to God. But all of them are related with how human beings relate to each other and relate to God. They are not laws. They are nuggets of what Jesus hoping that to teach his disciples, to teach his apostles, as he continues his journey. For it's he who said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And therefore, those who are going to follow him will be able to guide their lives by these nuggets that he has presented to us. So it's almost like a chatter. He's placing a chatter there, and then as we look through the whole of Matthew, we will see these elements coming out in different fashion. So I don't want to deal with all of these. I could do it, but I think I might do you injustice. So let me just concentrate on the one that speaks about blessed are those who hunger and thirst for what is right, they shall be satisfied. And I choose this because we as human beings are thirst and hungry for many things in this life. For our normal way of living, we have to search, we have to work, we have to find things that are necessary for our well-being. We all experience some form of hunger in our lives, whether it's hunger for food, for education, for wealth. We all do have some thirst, some hunger, or some longing for something that we believe will satisfy us and satisfy us in this world. You know, there was an emperor called Julius in the Roman times, and when he heard about this beatitude of Jesus, you know what he did? He gathered the Christians, took all their possessions, and he said, oh, blessed are those who are poor, you will have your reward in the kingdom of heaven. Okay, so he's stripping you of everything, and you will have your riches in heaven. The same thing he did for those who you are hungry, you will starve. You will die of thirst. That was persecution for them, for the early Christians. You will hunger and you will thirst because you have a promise in the future. So when you die now, when you get to heaven, you will have all the things that you want to satisfy you. A total misunderstanding and really arrogance of Emperor Julius. The arrogance doesn't stay there with him. This continues even today with human beings. Because we all not only seek to satisfy ourselves by having various things, which are necessary, some are necessary for us. One of the things about the Beatitude is that it overturns the whole value of human beings. It overturns the laws, the Beatitudes go beyond the laws and the rule of nations. How can a person who is thirsty or hungry be satisfied? Jesus seemed to be pointing us to something more fundamental. That human beings, though they have thirst for material things, these things cannot sustain them. Our sustenance is not really in the food we consume or the clothes we wear or how we look or what we have. No, the sustenance comes in something that is used in the word called blessed. Blessed, the word I think is barak in Hebrew. And it means those who kneel, those who are blessed. It's not the rich people that don't study God, but there are rich people who study God. But all those who find themselves kneeling or bending their knees before God who has all things and who have given them all things. That's what blessed means. Blessed means that we stand before the one who sustains everything in our lives. And because he sustained, we can stand before him or we can bow our knees in adoration to him who fills us and satisfies our lives. So that's Barak. The Beatitudes, looking at them in general, we will see that they do not only bless persons, but there is also promises. So there are blessings, blessed are you, and there are promises. You will inherit, and you will be satisfied. So Jesus gave a promise for everything. Not everything in our lives that we have promised or even promise that will satisfy us. And sometimes we are so disappointed by promises that we get. And we are left empty. But Jesus is giving something substantial. He says, those who are hungry will be satisfied. Do you know, there are over 2 billion persons in the world, human beings in the world, who are without proper food, nourishment, and water. That's a lot of human beings. 2 billion. 2 billion. Imagine that. Why would that be so? We are told by the UN and so on, World Health Organization, all this, that there is enough food in the world. So why are we having so much persons starving? It is because there is some kind of inequality, some kind of a measure of lack, where there are some who have much more than they need and others don't have. And it's the teaching of the Catholic Church. It says, none of us should acquire more than we need. It says, when there are others who do not have. So, in many cases, those who have magnitude, and you have people who have a lot, you have people who have money, they have houses. All right? Some people, maybe right here in the congregation, there are some people who have several houses. You have one you live in, and you have about 3, 4, you call them apartments that you're renting. This is something that is global. People rent because they need money. And so, the thing is that it is saying, the scripture is pointing out to us, there is some inequality, some imbalance in life. And Jesus is saying, where there is imbalance in life, you who suffer, I am concerned about you. I will satisfy your need. And Jesus is not just speaking about satisfying people's need in heaven. Sustenance is now. That means that we have to operate as Christians who have the willingness, the readiness to share, to give. But within us, when we examine ourselves, we foster things like resentment, hatred, anger. We become pompous. All kind of things fill us. Greed. And whatever fills us from inside is what we will express outside. We must always seek righteousness. And in seeking righteousness, we will always do what is right. Not just for ourselves, but for others. The Beatitude is not, it cannot be taken lightly. They are not meant for persons outside because they will not submit themselves to what Jesus is saying. It is meant for the disciples, for us. All of them as they are. While the ancient understood what they were saying in Jesus' time, Jesus also wants us to understand that we have a deeper hunger within us, and the deepest hunger will only be fulfilled when we turn totally to the one who has everything and who will sustain our lives. For those who don't have food in the fridge, I don't know where the chicken will come from tomorrow. Trust in Him. Call on His name. He will not leave you empty. I say that not because I want to be sentimental, but because in my own life I have seen when I had nothing or when I have nothing, that out of the blues, God had already prepared something for me without even knowing. And for those who have, don't be afraid to share. And I know many are sharing and many are being generous. But in this country, especially during this time, we need to become more generous. Not just those who have, who are gathering, but even those who have a little. We have to be more generous and more kind to our neighbor. It is only in doing good that we will find satisfaction and joy in our lives. If we do not do these things, we will always be seeking and looking for something more that will never satisfy us. Only God and doing things for Him will satisfy our lives.